Welcome, everybody, to another special episode of the One State Solution podcast. And in this episode, we're going to ask Elik, how are you doing, Elik? So first, let's introduce ourselves to people who don't know us.
So I'm Elik.
My name is Alon.
Yeah, we're both anti-Zionists,
Yeah.
Israeli Jews, even though we have problem with both of these titles. But
Yes.
for
Yes.
just for now.
Just so you understand who we are, it
Yeah.
says Israel on our passport. This is the way that we like to, because this is just a factual statement. And yeah, we did another special episode. When was this? Like a week and a half ago, I think.
Yeah.
Following an argument that I had with my family about what is going on here in occupied Palestine, which my family supports to certain degrees. And I had a really big argument with them. This is still ongoing, even almost 2 weeks later, and we have not even started to solve the issue. Not that I think this issue can be solved. And this was very emotional and personal for me. And lately I started feeling like you, Elik, are having a really tough time.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be a good idea to do another kind of special where you tell us about your own personal experiences and your own difficulties living under Zionist fascism.
Yes. Like I said it before, that this podcast is a bit like kind of a therapy to me. But and and I had this question: why to talk about us?
Yes.
Like there are
Yes.
people in Gaza who are being butchered for half a year.
Yes.
Being tortured and starved and killed and harassed in all the various forms that evil could be expressed to people.
Every single thing that could happen has already happened. The only thing that didn't happen, as far as we know, is actual extermination camps, like in the Holocaust, in the Jewish Holocaust performed by the Nazis.
Yeah.
This is the only thing that didn't happen for now, and if a few months from now this happens, my level of surprise would be zero. My level of shock and horror would be infinity, but my level of surprise would be zero.
I wonder, but if there's something that the Israeli government can do to the Palestinians that make Israelis like wake up. If there's anything like if they would literally put them in like death camps, like in like Auschwitz, would that make the Israelis say like, oh wait, this is too much, or like there's completely nothing at all? Like, what do you think?
Until a few years ago, I was sure that once it gets to such a state, Israelis would wake up, or many Israelis would wake up. But unfortunately, after seeing what has been going on in the last 6 months, after seeing how the Israelis, the Zionists, Israelis is not accurate because we are Israelis, I guess. So how the Zionists are reacting to what is going on now, I have changed my mind. I don't think that they have any limits.
It will shake them up.
I think the vast majority of Zionists have no limits at this point.
But because right now they still claim it's like they have the magic word war.
Yes.
And it's like, I thought about it, like what is war?
Yes.
What is it? What is this thing that people say like morality doesn't exist from now, you know?
Yeah.
And then everything you do is like, what can you do? It's a war, it's complicated, but like, no, but man, look, there's evidence of shooting babies in the head. What about that? There's evidence of women getting raped in Israeli jails. I heard this too many times to dismiss it, you know?
Yes.
Like when you hear it one time, you can say, okay,
maybe it's made up.
Maybe it's made up, but that's my rule. But if I hear something too many times, and I see women telling like testimonies that they telling what they have been through, and I see that I believe this woman, you know.
And also, I know the Israeli side. I know how the Israelis behave. I know what they think of Palestinians. I know what they think of women. I know that patriarchy is very powerful in our country, in our society. I know the condescension. I know the mockery. I know the supremacy. I know the racism. I know all of it. And none of the things that I have heard coming out of Gaza surprise me in the least bit.
I don't
This is
know.
unfortunate, but it is. This is the thing. I cannot be surprised anymore.
To me, like there's some level of cruelty that surprised me, and I still, like, you know, I don't know how to handle it.
You know, for many years now, I describe my emotional reaction to everything that I hear around me as um, there is complete shock and outrage, and also zero surprise. Because at this point there is no, like, there is nothing that I can hear that would that I would be like, no, people cannot do such a thing. So I need to connect this to me going vegan 12 years ago and finding out more and more and more about the non-human animal holocaust that is going on as we speak for decades and centuries.
Yeah.
It has been going on, and I have heard more and more and more horrible things that are done to non-human animals. And at this point, I have come to realize that there is nothing that is so violent that people will not do. There is nothing that you can say this about, you know? So I cannot be surprised. I just cannot physically be
Yeah.
surprised anymore by things that I hear.
Yeah,
You know?
you're really maybe that's the difference, you know, that you're in it for a longer time, and I
Yeah.
still have, even though I understand, like, again, I want to ask the question why to talk about us.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
after we see what we see, and we do think it's an important in a way, right? That's why we did the last special episode, and
yes.
that's why we want to talk about what I'm going through. But
Yes.
I still have this judgment in my head that it's not okay to talk about myself, because nothing that I will experience that is, you know, hard will be in by any measure comparable to what people are now experiencing.
So I think that once we acknowledge and uh, express this in a very open way. We are sorry for the noise if this is picked up by the camera microphone. There is noise. We already have a new studio,
Yeah.
but right now it's being renovated, and at some point we will go to the new studio, and the sound level will be better. But for now, this is an indie production. Okay.
Yeah.
We are doing this out of circumstances, okay?
Yes.
Okay, so what I was going to say is that. Can you remind me what I was going to say?
We were talking about it, that you said that if you acknowledge what's
Yes,
happening.
I think that if we acknowledge the fact that we are privileged, that nothing that is going on with us can be even comparable, like you said, to what is going on in Gaza. Uh, I think then we have the let's say right or freedom to talk about ourselves, and I think this is something important because you know at this point I think everybody who cares knows what is going on in Gaza to some extent.
Mm.
We have all seen the horrific images. We have all heard the horrific stories. The only people who don't know what is going on in Gaza at this point are Zionists, because they are part of this bubble of propaganda and brainwashing and denial and how do you say hadhaka, repression.
Repression.
Yes. So I don't know if we can contribute much to the discussion if we talk about what is going on in Gaza. We should talk about it to some extent, but really, people know, I think.
But don't we want to a bit? Maybe we have power in our hands to talk to our family, to our people.
Definitely, definitely, and this is So let me go back to the argument that I had with my family. What was the subject of this argument? The subject was, you want to shut me up. You do not want to hear about what is going on in Gaza. You want to continue with your ignoring and ignorance, same word, two different facets of the same word, and repression, and I will not allow you to do it, and I will not allow you to shut me up. And we still need to talk about things with our families. But what we're doing here, the audience, Zionists,
Yeah.
don't listen to us.
Yeah.
They don't. They don't listen to anyone,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't listen to us. And we have acknowledged this. If they want to listen, if you are Zionist and you are listening, way to go, really. But we do not expect Zionists to listen to us anymore. We don't think that this is something that we are doing that Zionists will listen to. We do think that people around the world will listen to this, and we think that it's important that many people, many more people around the world understand what is going on here, and understand how fascism works, understand how Zionism works, understand how genocide works, understand how propaganda works, and so forth and so on. And I feel like our personal experiences can help people understand this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one reason why I think we should do this.
Yes. And also, I feel that, like, I guess that people who watch this care about this issue, and we live in this situation that we want to be activists for a long time. In this
It's a marathon.
It's a marathon, and we still have a psyche, and we still have mental issues regarding to this.
Yes.
Like, every time I wake up in the morning, I have this sense that I don't want to wake up to this world. And I feel it more and more and more, that I just don't want to wake up to this world. I don't know what to do. And it's every morning.
Yeah.
And I have job that starts at 2, because it's like kindergarten, but
after school.
And each time I say I wake up early to do stuff, and I can't, because and I know.
Yeah.
And this is the first thing that I think about when I wake up in the morning.
Yes.
And and then I visit here friends, and they tell me, you should listen to, don't consume too much media. You're hurting yourself. And I'm telling them, but you're ignoring, like, it's ignorance, that it's like ignorance.
I just want to point out, the planes are going over us every 2 minutes, every 3 minutes.
Everything.
You have to repress. You have to repress. Repression is like, it's a necessary part of living in this land.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do? I do hear the airplanes. I do have this thought.
Yeah.
They're going to bomb. I cannot. What am I going to do? I'm trying to do the best that I can. I'm trying to live a life. I'm trying.
Yeah. And it's really hard. And I want to share a bit, like, family experience that I had that is very different from yours. Like,
Yes.
I wish I could be a bit more like you in a way. Like,
But I also wish I could be more like you.
yeah.
It's this is the thing about this kind of situation. There is nothing that you can do.
Mm.
There is no good way to behave. Like, there is no right way to behave. Everything is wrong. You will suffer anyway. The Palestinians will suffer completely, no matter what they do. But also, anyone who wants to be on the side, an ally to the Palestinians, it doesn't matter what you do. If you are silent, then you are angry with yourself for being silent. If you talk, you get a lot of negative reactions, and you will get upset, and then you will get angry with yourself for getting upset. If you talk very respectfully, you get angry with yourself because I should have expressed emotion. If you express emotion, and so forth and so on. If you talk respectfully and nobody listens, you get frustrated. There's nothing you can do.
So maybe that's what we're trying to figure out, right? How to find, that's what I'm trying, approach that I will not, like, I posted this video that I'm hitting the drum, and a few friends, like somebody, usually people write to me, stay safe, and then somebody wrote to me, stay sane. And I think people thought that I'm really losing my mind, and I'm thinking, what will happen if I will really lose my mind? Like, how do we not burn ourselves? How do we keep, still love for life? And how do I still have love to my close family that I know that they're kind of, sorry guys if you're watching, but I think you're Nazis. That's my honest. If I didn't say it to your face, I'm saying it right now. Um, how do you still love them even they're still Nazis?
I have some thoughts about that. So the first thing that I wanted to tell you is that this video, when you sent me this video and you asked, should I upload it? I saw you in your most sane. I think this is sanity. Sanity is, the liberal idea of sanity is conforming to norms. And I don't think conforming to norms is sanity. As Jiddu Krishnamurti, one of my favorite philosophers, an Indian philosopher, once said, it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly ill society.
Yes.
And no, it doesn't mean that you're healthy if you're happy in the face of genocide and Holocaust. No. When you yell, when you lose your mind in the face of a Holocaust, this is sanity.
This is sanity.
And also, I want to say about Nazis.
But I just want to say that losing my mind, I agree with you, but there is a point when you can lose your mind in such a way that you cannot function, that you lose the will to live. And I think a bit like Aaron Bushman, that he burned himself. It was a political, I appreciate what he did, but he also burned himself. It's a less one person who could do something in the world, who could run the marathon of being an activist and being... And also, he has a value for itself, and it's pity that a sensitive, caring human being, and any human being, even if you're an asshole, it's a sad that you die because of how shitty the world is. So
yes, and I also don't believe in assholes. I don't believe that people can be inherently bad. I think when people do bad actions, believe in bad things, it's always a matter of circumstance. They always had a chance and they always have a chance to be better.
But on the other hand, if you know that this song that I did, that I put on the Instagram, that it says, I did a song that Facebook censored.
Yes.
That's all the lyrics says, like, if you killed him, so you killed him. If you shot him, you shot him.
Yes.
And this song was taken down
because of hate speech.
Because of hate speech. Yeah, this is we live in 1984 by George Orwell, guys. Like,
yes, we live in a parody. Reality is a parody on itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I said, like, and the point of the song that people have choice, and then I look at my society and I say they choose to be ignorance, and then how can I look at them with compassion if I think they have choice? And it's something that and then today I was listening to an interview Katie Halper did with don't remember her name, some Palestinian woman who just was back from helping people in Gaza, and she talked about Israeli society, and she said, like, I don't understand the level of psychopathy that can lead people to take part in this.
Yes.
And then I live in this society, and I walk in the street, and I see people are good and not psychopath. But on the other hand, what happened to my mind is a psychopathic thing, and people ignoring it is part of the psychopathy. So I'm trying to, I don't know. And they have choice, and that's the thing that makes me.
Yeah, I have many thoughts about what you said.
My question is,
Yeah.
how do I hold the notion that they still have choice and still have compassion
Yes,
and not go to hate?
yes.
That's my question.
I think this is one of the most important questions in the world, and I think it is also one of the hardest questions in the world. And I think the reason why it's important is because it's hard, and I think the reason why it's hard is because it's important.
Mm.
And one thing that I came to realize at some point is that even the Nazis were not Nazis. And I will explain myself.
Okay.
We use the word Nazis, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we use it to say people who are inherently evil. Like this is what we mean when we say Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean this anymore.
Yes.
First of all, because I don't believe that anyone is inherently evil.
Mm-hmm.
And second, because I don't believe the Nazis were inherently evil. And I see this going on around me. When I say that my friends and family are Nazis, I don't mean that they are Nazis.
Yeah.
I mean that they are Nazis.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean that like Germany in the 30s and 40s was in a certain societal, economic, geopolitical, whatever you want to call it, situation where this society was very vulnerable to mind viruses, aka ideologies,
Mm-hmm.
that are very destructive and violent. And this caused so many of them to support
Mm-hmm.
the murder of our families.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you understand how personal this is for us, how all of this is super personal
It's
for us.
very personal.
So this is the same thing that is going on here, and I think we see in our own with our own eyes, we hear with our own ears what is going on around here, and this allows us to understand the processes, the societal, psychological, psychological, political, geopolitical, and so forth and so on, economic and so forth and so on, processes that lead a society to go in this direction. And now we see it from the inside. And you know what? This brings me back to why it is important that we speak about our own experience. Because we saw something. And we are in a unique position. This just happens to be the case that we are in a unique position of living inside this society and also being able to look at what is going on from the outside. There are very few people who are in this position.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to talk about it. People who are in unique positions need to talk about their unique positions so that people understand what is going on.
Yeah, we're kind of outsiders, insiders,
Yeah.
both at the same time. I guess that's what Palestinian Israelis experience.
Oh wow, I cannot even imagine, you know?
Yeah, but there are also like in and out, like kind of like they know. I think they know the Israeli psyche very well.
Yes.
Like the ones that has citizenship and they're.
Yeah, 48 Palestinians,
Yeah,
so-called
48.
48 Palestinians or Arab Israelis. These are two
Yeah.
politically charged terms.
Yeah, but for them it's more risky to speak. That's why we also like we're in a position that we're privileged that we can speak, and so far we don't experience like threat to our safety. So
Yes, yes. So far, you know, I've gotten death threats and you know,
me
R-word
too.
wishes. I got some nasty comments, blah 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 blah. And let's say a few hundreds of them. But this is nothing compared
I'm
to
still
what,
afraid, you know.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
doing it,
the
and
fear is still there.
I'm still afraid because I don't know, like, what happens if we suddenly have a lot of followers and like, because right now they're okay with just ignoring us.
Yes,
'cause
yes,
we're,
they just ignore us.
yeah, but let's see. Let's see
see.
what happens.
I just wanted to say about you mentioned the 48 Palestinians.
Mm-hmm.
Today I was going in the train from my place to Tel Aviv to Elik's place, and I was surrounded by hundreds of soldiers,
Mm-hmm.
Israeli soldiers, which to me at this point is the same as SS troops, like the same. The olive uniform of the IDF is the same to me as the brown uniform of the SS. It's the same. And so this is one side. And when I sat in the train, I sat next to Palestinians, 48 Palestinians, and they talked among themselves. And like, let's say a quarter of the words that they use are Hebrew words.
Yeah.
And they are sitting there next to the soldiers, and my mind is like, what the fuck? You know? And also, like, I'm on Instagram and I'm talking to people from Gaza who are sending me messages telling me, we see what you're doing, we really appreciate what you are doing. And I tell them, I'm so sorry for what is going on, whatever, you know, the emotional conversations. And next to me are sitting 48 Palestinians, and on the other side, and on the other seat.
Wow, mine started.
And this is just a normal train ride, you know. This is normal. This is normal here.
Yes. And you live side by side with everything, you know, and this soldier.
So insane.
Yeah. And the soldier buy coffee in a place where the Palestinians sell them coffee.
Yes.
You know, and
Yes. Yes. Okay, but let's get back to you, Elik. Tell us some experiences that you had in the last, let's say, week, a few weeks. Just a few, just anything that pops into your mind that you want to tell us about, and you want to share with us.
I also had a family dinner with family and with my cousin, and I knew his opinions like are very different from mine.
Yes.
Opinion, like it's hard to call it even opinion at this point. It's like,
Yes.
I think like is that yeah, we reached a level, you know, but in family dinner, like the way you keep the peace, that you say you have your opinion, I have my opinion, because otherwise it can be just blown up easily. And
Yeah,
I knew,
my least favorite sentence in the world at this point is let us agree to disagree. I hate it. No, I will not agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I will agree for you to stop killing. That is what I will agree to.
But then they say to you, like, but look, I am listening to you, why you don't accept my opinion? Why, you know, they have this pluralistic tolerance philosophy, which it has truth, I don't know, some level. Like, and yeah, and I also want to keep the personal relationship. Like, I mean, I love this guy. He's part of, you know, we have dinner, and he's like a brother to me. Like, when we were kids, we grew up together. I adored him.
Yes.
He was, I think,
He's older than you?
he's older than me 2 years.
2 years, yeah. When you were young, 2 years is a lot.
Yeah, and we played basketball, and I adored him, and I think he was one of the people I loved as a child more than anybody. I think it was him and my father, maybe, that like these people you look up to. Like, I was really adoring my father because I thought he's super intellectual and smart, and this cousin, like, I love him. I still love him. He's still, when the years, you know, developed, like, we had separate ways and we were not so close, like in a way of like daily connection. We don't, but he lives in Jaffa, and I still love him very much, and I know, like, that he is very patriotic. He's and he wanted to be conscripted to the army when this thing started, and the army for some reason didn't take him. But he from himself went to.
Was he a fighter in the army?
He was fighter.
Yes. So he wanted to go into Gaza and to fight.
Yes.
And they wouldn't allow him.
After 7th of October, it was like, I need to protect my country.
Yes.
You know, which it's crazy because I know I can understand this sentiment, you know, that people have to want to protect. I don't think it's...
No, the sentiment within itself to want to protect your loved ones is not a problem. No.
Yeah.
The way that it is expressed is the problem.
Yeah, and also the detachment from what really happens here with
Yeah.
the Palestinians, with the and and I know I'm going to meet him, and I'm afraid to confront him. And when we came and he was talking about the situation and his opinion that Hamas did start the war on the 7th of October, and he was like, I'm tired of all this bullshit of the Palestinians that it didn't start in the 7th of October. It did start this current circle of violence did start in the 7th of October, like.
Yeah.
And he said many stuff, and I just ate, and
You said in 8.
I didn't
Yeah.
say anything, and then I just felt like we were sitting. I was sitting on a sofa because they put the table, so I just ate, and I just fell asleep like this.
Yeah.
That was my escape.
Yeah, and that is your defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when the dinner was over, he was like, I heard him talking to my father, like saying, "Yeah, Elik says stuff on the internet. He writes that it's a genocide, and he doesn't know. He's talking about stuff that he doesn't understand."
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to say a small remark about that. They keep saying, let's agree to disagree. This is not personal. This is politics. Let's put politics on the side, blah, 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 blah. But this is what they do. They mix the personal and the political all the time. Look, he's not saying, I disagree with Elik. He's saying, Elik is an idiot, right? This is like what, he doesn't understand anything, right? So they make it personal all the time, all the time.
Yeah, and I felt that I couldn't confront him. Like I started, and I have it with my father, and and it's frustrating because I'm learning about this subject. I'm reading books, that. I'm consuming tons of stuff, and I don't even think it's about that. It's not about the knowledge. If it's about like strong, it's about if you're.
Yeah, you can know nothing about what is going on and be on the right side.
Yeah. And I just felt dead from inside. I hated myself from not confronting him. And my way to cope with it was just to sleep. Like before he went, we talked a bit about it.
What did you say?
And there was we started talking, and I said that I think it is a genocide, and that there is intent to destroy the society as a whole. That it couldn't be but I said at some point that I don't know exactly the accurate numbers. I said the word I don't know, right? Because there is, I don't know what is complete knowledge. We still don't know on the 7th.
No one knows everything about anything.
And on the 7th of October, we still don't know what happened completely. And how many were killed. Like, people don't know how many were killed by
Do we know completely what happened in the Holocaust? In the Jewish Holocaust? We don't know completely.
But we know enough to know that there was a Holocaust.
Yeah.
And we know enough to know that in the 7th of October there was a massacre of civilians. And people who tell me that this didn't happen, I think they're ridiculous.
Yes. Yes.
And we know right now that there's a half a year of genocide, because it's a complete attack on the whole level of society.
Yes.
And to me, that's what I say when I say genocide. It's the multi-layer, it's not just bombing, it's it's the starvation, it's the destroying all the infrastructure, it's destroying all the hospitals. When you attack all in this level, you destroy the whole society. That's what you're doing. And it's clear that it's intentional.
Yes, they are saying this. On every levels of society, they are declaring this in a very open way.
Yeah, and he tells me that it's not a genocide. And he told me when we met after the 7th of October that there were no innocents there.
Yeah.
Like he himself said it,
the kind of split personality of the Zionists.
Everyone, they're saying it, and then they're saying you're wrong, but
this is gaslighting.
But then he just jumped on the fact that I said I don't know, And he said, you see, you yourself say you don't know, and now we were talking with this level of certainty. And and I told him, like, look, the argument about the terms is not what's important to me. What's important to me is noticing that it's morally wrong and it has to stop. That's the bottom line.
Yes.
And if you believe that it has to continue, you're being on the wrong side
Of morality, of history,
of history.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter. That's the bottom line. That's what's important. If you don't want to say the word genocide, fine. Like, but you know, even though I do think there's
No, it is by any standard a genocide. This is not anyone who says that this is not, I need to say this. Anyone who says that this is not a genocide is being intellectually dishonest to the most extreme degree possible. אוקיי? ואני אגיד את זה גם בעברית. אם אתם טוענים שזה לא רצח עם, אתם שקרנים. אתם לא בדקתם את זה, אתם לא חשבתם את זה, אתם אף פעם לא עסקתם בשאלה הזאת בצורה שהיא בעלת כנות אינטלקטואלית, אפילו ברמה המינימלית. תשקיעו בבקשה שעה וחצי, נשים שוב את הקישור לסרטון של בדם פנדה שעובר על הדברים בצורה מדוקדקת מההתחלה ועד הסוף, עובר על הראיות ומוכיח באופן שאינו משתמע לשום שתי פנים, רק פן אחד יש לדבר הזה, והפן הזה הוא רצח עם וזה מה שקורה פה, ותפסיקו לחרטט אותנו. כל כך הרבה שנים אתם חרטטתם אותי, תפסיקו לחרטט אותי, תפסיקו לחרטט את כל העולם, תסתכלו למציאות בעיניים כבר. If anyone who speaks Hebrew is watching us now, if your fucking cousin, I'm sorry, you can be amicable to your cousin. I fucking hate you. You are a fucking liar, you are fucking condescending, you are racist, you are a supremacist, you are a Nazi, and you are a Holocaust denier at this point. I'm sorry if I damaged your relationship in any way, but the truth must be said.
So, what can I do? You know?
Yeah.
If you're watching it, I still love you, but what he said is also... That's the paradox I live in, you know? I love this person. Yes. I don't think he's a bad person on a personal level. He supported me many times in my life, helped me with advice, with physical, with... you know, if I call him that I need something, he will appear immediately, you know? He's that kind of person. Yes. And he helped many people in his life, included Palestinians, because he speaks Arabic and he has Palestinian friends. Yes. But he separates that's the paradox here, you know. Many people that have Palestinian friends still separate the political, so they can support the exterminations of their brother and still say their brothers and sisters in Gaza and still be friend with and say like, what can we do? That's the politics, that's the history, but now we're personal. And this happens in Israel a lot because people have interactions with, you know, there are many, the neighbor of my family, he was a construction, how do you say kablan? Like the...
kablan?
The person
the manager of the construction project.
And he had a Palestinian partner. There were business partners. They shared equally the business. Yes. And he had many Palestinian workers and he treated them, he brought them to the house. I remember them sitting in, you know, his house when we were there. And you were asked them, like his partner was like his best friend, the Palestinians. Yes. And he was a right-wing guy, you know. Yeah. Israeli. You see this.
This is the paradox of Palestinian existence in occupied Palestine. Yeah. This is the paradox. They have to. This is the paradox of any indigenous people that is being occupied by a foreign colonialist population, right? Because you know, we talked about the fact. So Zionists say, we built this country. There was nothing here before we came, only swamps, only desert, and we built it. Yeah. No, guys, you did not build it. The Palestinians built it. Because for anyone who doesn't know, let's say 90% of construction workers in Israel, right? 90% of construction workers in Israel are Palestinians. It has always been the case, and it continues to be the case to now, to this day, and it will continue. So the Jews did not build this country. The people who actually built this country are the Palestinians. They did it for the Jews because the Jews used the system of supremacy that they constructed. They only constructed one thing. And this is the system of supremacy. They did not construct any houses. They constructed a system of supremacy, and then they used the Palestinians who were under them in this system of supremacy to force them to build the houses for them. This is the horrible, cynical irony of this situation, that the Palestinians are forced to build the houses for the Jews, who then say, "Oh, this is my house. Get out of here."
Yeah. Yeah, and they have to see, like, all the houses that maybe there are families and people who can. It's an absurd reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wish I would be like, when I did this dialogue with the Zionist on the Facebook also, because I have this wish to be able to confront. I don't know if it's an ego thing that I want to be able to maintain the discussion and to be on the winning side. I don't know if it's a wish to convince them to come to my position or to make them understand something. I think that's the deepest wish I have to make a crack to.
Yeah.
But I think, like, people, they're locked, because white people that doing crimes are they're locked in a circle that they have to do more and more and more.
Yes.
Because in order to stop, they have to recognize what they did, and because they don't want to recognize what they did, they have to continue.
Yes.
And that's the people can be, that's how the worst atrocities are committed, because they're like, the perpetrator cannot stop for a second and admit that what he's doing now is wrong, because he will have to admit all the crime he did in the past as well. And how can you live with yourself?
Yeah.
And I want to tell sometimes people, it's hard to admit, but if you're gonna change side, people may be gonna be angry at you, but not for long. They will be mostly welcoming you for joining the right side, I heard even soldiers, like, from Breaking the Silence, describe stuff that they did themselves, and people, like, are able to forgive them because they moved to the right side.
Let us just give context what Breaking the Silence is. I will explain briefly. This is an organization. I think it's still a Zionist organization, right?
Yes.
But the organization, the purpose of it is to expose the crimes of the occupation and of the oppression of Palestinians. And this is ex-soldiers speaking about what they did in their military service, especially crimes, war crimes that they committed against Palestinians that they feel deep regret for, and they want to expose this to the world. And this organization has gotten a lot of resistance from Zionist society. Like, the main argument is, why do you show the dirty laundry to the world, right? You should speak with us, and then if you try to speak with them, they will say, "Fuck you, stop speaking," right? So it's again this double bind.
And it's not fair, because who sends the soldiers to do this stuff?
Yes.
These soldiers are also victims.
Yes.
It's very hard maybe for people who support Palestinians to hear now that the soldiers are also victims, but they're also victims. And I think they're being sent now to Gaza, to a situation when, they're not succeeding in winning against Hamas. That Hamas fighters can pop from anywhere and kill them.
Yes.
And they keep sending more and more soldiers who are being killed. And then what these soldiers doing, they let it out, their anger and the frustration of not winning on the civilians.
Yes.
And yes, so
let me ask you something. If you feel like this is too personal, tell me. But can you explain how specifically your cousin, that you said is doing horrible things now, saying horrible things now, how is he a victim of circumstances? How do you know that he is a good person after all?
Like, the thing is that I know he's a good person, but what is a good person? Like, I know that so many people love him. Like,
Yes.
he's one of the most loved people I know.
Yes.
And in his wedding that I was, there were a lot of Palestinians also, and because he have such a huge, uh, warm heart, and he's a fun person. He's an amazing storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
He's very intelligent when he's not talking about this subject.
Yeah. This is a phenomenon that I noticed as well. That like people can be like reasonable in any subject, but then there is this one subject. The first thing that I noticed in my journey of activism was animal rights. Like once you start talking about non-human animals, highly intelligent and highly compassionate and highly aware people become complete morons. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
But politically and on many other subjects, I think, like, also, like, before we started speaking about that situation, we were talking about like eating animals.
Yes.
And he said like stuff that I felt are very stupid. But yeah, and I broke at this dinner. I also ate like meat at this dinner. I felt so weak that he beat me so hard
Yes.
that it made me like feel like I'm losing it, and I felt like I hated myself, and part of it was like I felt so shitty that I just ate, and I was like I have no values. Maybe he's right. I was really in a dark place at that moment, and then
You know what? I
sick.
think this sheds a lot of light on all of this issue.
Yeah.
I think when people do shitty things, it is because they feel shitty. And I know this might sound very simplistic to people, but you know what? I think it's still true. I think it might be the most true thing that when people do shitty things, it is because they feel shitty inside, and the only way that they can get some relief from feeling shitty inside is doing something shitty. Of course, this relief is very short-lived.
Yeah.
But there is like, okay, I'm shitty. Whatever.
I
I'm
felt
shitty.
shitty that I didn't argue, that I don't stand up for my values. I
Yes.
felt like I'm not like you, that I wish I would just start shouting at everybody, but I felt like I just tried to keep the peace, and then like eating meat was kind of punishing myself.
Yes.
And yeah, and I also ate in a way that made me feel sick after. Like, it was really like and
Self-harm.
self-harm. And
But you see, self-harm is not just self-harm. When you harm yourself, you also harm others.
yeah. And he was speaking how like, yeah, like, I know many moral people that claim that they're moral and they're vegan and that, but they treat people like shit, and being good person is not about trying to be holy, like, this is life, like, that's what he said. And he's a very good example to person who will help people on personal level, but then when you talk about it with him about moral values, he's like piece of shit. And I felt like, in a way, I kind of gave myself to, and my sister was there also, and she's in the same opinions and me.
Yeah.
And she also didn't confront anybody, because she has also this very strong, let's keep the peace in the family.
Peace. Yeah, we
And
mean quiet, right?
yeah,
Not peace.
but there's a new baby. He just have a new baby,
Yeah.
like a girl, and we were all like, and everything was around her, and we just want to be with the happiness. And I'm like thinking, but they're killing tons of babies now.
Yes.
And you have.
I want to say something about this kind of thinking that all these people who think they are holy and they are vegan and they are leftist, but they're in their personal life and so forth and so on.
Yeah, and because they're like you, they're angry, and they're angry feminists. All this thing.
This argument, I think, is ridiculous at face value. Okay, why? There is no contradiction.
Yeah.
Okay, there is no contradiction. Like, you can be a good person in your personal life, and also you can be a good person in the more broad sense of politics. Like, you know what? In my experience, this usually goes together. Usually, usually people who are kind in their own personal life are also kind in a more broad sense,
Yes.
and vice versa. I don't understand. Like, why is it one or the other? You know,
I think
why is it? Why do you do? So you have to be shitty on a broad level if you want to be nice on a personal level, and vice versa. And if this is the case, that there is a contradiction, maybe there is a fundamental problem,
Yeah.
right? So if you kill a Palestinian when you are if you are in the Israeli army and you have olive uniform and you take a gun and you kill a Palestinian, is this Palestinian not dead? If you
you killed him.
yes, and you, is it not you who
Yeah.
killed them?
Yeah.
Is it not you who eats the corpse of a cow? Is the cow not dead?
Yeah,
Is it not personal for the Palestinian who is killed that they were killed? Is it not personal for their family? Is it not personal for the cow that is killed? Is it not personal for you who are consuming the flesh of the cow that you paid someone to kill? Is it?
Yeah, maybe that's the problem. The separation is the problem.
Yes.
And you know, and what he said is true, that when you understand how reality works, you can get angry. You can. It's harder to be a normal coping person in society. But I think we and that's what we're talking about now. How you become. Because at the end, I want to be able to speak to my cousin not with hate, not with denying the good parts that he have in his, but still confront him and say, like, it's immoral that you're eating this animal. It's immoral that you're saying what happens is Gaza is complicated so it can go on for another few months when every day innocent people are getting killed.
Hundreds of them. Every single day.
Every single day.
Yes.
Every single day. It's something that I really don't understand how people can support. And and I thought about, like we had this on Yala podcast, the last conversation
With Mohammed.
with Muhammad Faraj.
Yes.
And he said, and it was part of the conversation, you know, like he said it like by the way, like we all Palestinians, we all know someone who got killed by army, someone who was in jail, someone who got harassed by soldiers. We all know. It's like everyone, you know. He said
this is just matter of fact because that's their life. That has been their lives for decades.
And then I thought, what is the implication of this?
Yes.
That in our society, we all know someone who killed, someone who harassed, someone who you know, but we don't feel it because we look at it like, for us it's not personal, that's political. We take part of it when we go to the army, and then we come back and no one is judging us for what we did.
Yes.
And then people here, like, you know, so the Palestinians are experiencing it, but the perpetrators just don't feel that they even did it at all. And they can live in the society and they are traumatized from what they did, but this system that encourage you to be in denial and repression, so they can feel they didn't do it. Their psyche, they don't see themselves not as victims and not as perpetrators, which actually they are both. You know?
Yes.
And it's crazy.
I want to say about this this tension between personal life and politics.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I don't think that there is a separation between personal and political. This I'm not saying anything new here. This is philosophers have been saying this for decades now. But I want to say that the fact that we are trying to actually consider this question of how we can simultaneously keep our moral values, keep our moral backbone, not back down from the values that, by the way, we have been taught by our society, right? That everything that I believe
is taught by society.
I believe because I heard, like my father taught me. I want to say something personal about myself, okay? When I was, let's say, 4 years old, my father made a list of around 20 or 30 Hebrew expressions. And every other day, we would sit down and he would tell me the expression and I would tell what it means, or he would tell me the description of the meaning of the expression and I would say the expression. And he really enjoyed the fact that I was intelligent and he had an intelligent son, and he really values the Hebrew language. He really values morality. Like, you know, he was born in a poor family, okay? But he always had appreciation for learning, for being a good person, and all these expressions, you know, like Tol Korah mi ben einecha, which we mentioned, take the web out of your own eyes, and
what it means?
it means look at yourself first. Look at yourself. Don't look at before you judge others. Look at yourself. For example, and we can go over these expressions, and half of them, if you actually understand them. מה ששנוא עליך, אל תעשה לחברך. That which you hate, do not do to your friend. Do not do to others. Do unto others as you wish would be done to you, right? All of these are basic truths that we all understand. And if you understand any of them fully and apply them fully to your own life and to the actual reality that is going on right now, you would not support the genocide immediately. Yeah. And it is very weird for me that my father forgot all of this and does not apply all of this to the current situation. And I know that deep down my father knows that there is a problem.
Yeah, I also feel it about my father. I think they're a bit similar, our fathers.
Yeah, you told me something about what your father told you something, and we talked about this, so maybe you can...
What about?
The French guy, right? The guy who lives in France.
Well, I'm trashing here all my family. I'm not sure I want to do...
You don't want to go into it.
No, it's... Let's say he talked to somebody, okay?
Okay, talk to somebody.
I really have like mixed feeling about talking about my cousin, even though I don't think anybody know him and I didn't give any information like who he is. But on the other hand, like I say, like let's say if he's watching this, like I'm not hiding anything. I think you're a good person and you're supporting horrible stuff.
We are trying to be as honest as we can. We are trying to be as honest as we can.
But maybe I need to stop with I think you're a good person, I think you're a good person. Like, fuck you, you're also not a good person now. Like, I don't know.
Yes, it is a mindfuck and we need to express this mindfuck. The mindfuck is the truth.
Because I feel like saying all the time I know you're a good person, it also comes from the place that fear that he will not like me and he will be angry at me. And what about my place that is angry at him?
Yes.
What is he supporting? Why do I need his approval?
Yes.
Like, you know, it's also...
Yes. No, but I do think that it's important to say that the truth is not that they are good people. The truth is not that they are bad people. The truth is the mindfuck. The truth is the inherent contradiction. The truth is that we are all simultaneously good and bad, that the good and the bad lives inside me, inside you. You ate the corpse of an animal a few days ago, and I am angry at you for this. When you said this, I felt anger, I felt disgust, I felt, you know, I was like, this is pathetic, right? I felt all this, and I still love you. And this is it. This is the truth. Let's all speak the truth. Let's all stop hiding. Let's all stop pretending. Let's all stop being
I
afraid.
I thought of just not telling you, you know, and I was like, fuck it, I did it, you know. I was in a weak position.
Yeah.
And I'm not justifying or no, you know, that's what happened.
I need to say something. I am also a Nazi. I am a Nazi. Okay? I think that I am a Nazi. Why? Because I ate hundreds of animals until age 21, 22. I contributed to these industries.
Yes.
Until age 22, I already knew. When I was 17, I held the corpse of a chicken that was burned and put on a skewer for me to eat. I held it and I said, "This is." I was talking to people in like a barbecue, and I said, "This is horrible what we do to the chickens." And
That's
then I eat it.
That's how I was with with my cousin.
Yeah.
Like arguing, and then he was kind of laughing because he was like, you see, you talk, but in the end, you.
But this is disgusting. I'm sorry. This is disgusting. Yes, we are weak, but we are trying.
Yeah.
And this is the thing.
And
we need to try.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell myself I'm on a process because I do it less and less and less and less, and I think I don't know. Yeah, it's also
this is the mind fuck. This is the truth. The mind fuck is the truth.
Yes.
So, do you want to tell the story about your father?
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was another family dinner with other cousin that I wasn't there.
Yes.
Who lives in France right now.
Yeah.
And he told me that he's like.
Your father told me.
Yeah, they told me about that. This guy said that like I'm not in. This is a cousin I'm not in touch with actually.
Okay.
Like his family, but we didn't talk for years.
Yes.
And he said that he think Israel should ethnically cleanse all the Palestinians in Gaza.
Yes.
And after we need to say we want to judge Bibi and put him in Hague and react as if we were against it.
Yes.
Because his logic was that every nation doing horrible stuff. The Americans did it to the Native Americans, and many countries did it in their past, and Israel have to go through it. And this is kind of how this is the birth of like nations. It's horrible. It's horrific.
Like I'm laughing because it's funny and horrible. Like, what can I do? Like, how can I even react?
How can when my father told me this, I thought, how can a person put himself in this position when he was like, yeah, you need to ethnically cleanse? How do you feel like empowered in such way that you're like the Caesar of the world and think like I can, like, it's like there were many posts like this that you showed me after the 7th of October that people, Israelis talk. Yeah, I think we should remove all the Palestinians in Gaza and build a parking lot instead.
Yes.
And make it. I remember you read me a post of some guy and said we will remove all the Palestinians, we will build a nature reserve, and we will call it peace.
Let's name names. Peace. Let's name names. This is אמנון. אמנון, אם אתה רואה, אהלן אמנון. שלום אמנון, אני מדבר עליך עכשיו. So this guy, we both know him, like in different circumstances, we found out that we both know him. He is a shaman, he is someone who is spiritual, and he does ceremonies of psychedelics to open the mind and to bring peace and love and compassion and healing to all people and to all creatures in the world. And then, a few days after October 7th, he wrote a post that started with a question, and the question was, should we destroy Gaza? And his answer is very sly and indirect, but let me tell you this, his answer is yes, we should destroy Gaza.
Yeah. And then build a park and call it Peace.
The Peace Park. The Peace Park of Gaza. This is what he wants to call the result of his intended genocide. And this is someone who has a kind heart and who has good intentions. Yeah. So-called, like supposedly. I don't know. I don't know anymore. This is the mindfuck. Guys, this is the mindfuck. ואמנון, אני מאוד כועס עליך, שתדע, אם אתה רואה, אני מאוד כועס עליך.
I think it's also very telling about like the power structure here, because I don't think Palestinians sit in a dinner table and say, yeah, I think we should do like this and this. They don't, like Israelis think like masters. They think like people who can decide the fate and have the ability to decide. Maybe Palestinians hate Israelis, but they don't sit and think, I think we should destroy and build a park, and they feel they have the power to do it, and they talk like, because You know, it shows a lot about the power differential in the situation.
Yes. Before we started filming this episode, I told you something. I want to tell it to the entire audience. It has been my experience until now that 100% of the Zionists that I met, to some extent, support the destruction and the ethnic cleansing and the genocide of the Palestinians. 100%. And it has also been my experience that 100% of the Palestinians that I personally spoke with do not want to harm Jews.
Yeah.
This goes in complete contradiction to the position of, again, 100% of Zionists that I spoke with who say we want peace and the Palestinians want war and destruction.
Yeah.
It has been my empirical experience with the empirical data that I collected that the position of Zionists is the exact opposite of reality in this issue and also in every single other issue.
Yeah, also my experience, I'm not saying I'm expert to what Palestinians think, but from my experience with talking with quite many, since we need to learn Arabic and
Yes, we
speak
need to
more,
learn
but
Arabic.
at least from what I've been speaking, it's like, it's not about hating Jews. And
They
it's
just want to be free like you.
Yeah, they want to be free and they want to be back to their homeland,
Yes.
which is their true homeland.
Yes.
Like what you cannot deny it, you know.
Well, you can deny it.
You can.
Like the Zionists do. The Zionists can and do. How long will they be able to deny it? I don't know.
And they want the truth to be recognized. I feel this is a very, very important thing that people don't understand. Like the practical matters are hard and need to be solved, like how do we live together, but you need to recognize what happened and what's happening and to stop, you know, pushing away the truth. And you know, and people tell me like, you just accept their side, and I'm like, no, I don't deny what happened in 7th of October. I have no problem to admit that that people were massacred and it's wrong.
Yes.
You're the one that's denying what's happening right now. While it's still going, while it's still happening.
And like, becoming worse and worse and worse by the day.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like, it's not even denial of past traumas. It's not even denying like that the Nakba happened. It's the Nakba is happening. It's happening right now.
Yes, there is an ongoing Nakba, and it has been happening for over 75 years, and it is still happening, and this is just another stage of the Nakba happening right now. And
it happens to Palestinians. It doesn't matter if they're supporting the two-state solution. It doesn't matter even if they want, even if there's a Palestinian in Gaza who wants the occupation to continue. It doesn't matter. He is getting killed. It doesn't matter what they support and what they want. It happens to them because they're in the wrong time, in the wrong place.
Yes.
And this is what's going on for so many generations after generation. And it's not something that you, like we need to stop blaming the victim and admit that they're victims, and this is what the Zionists will never.
Yes, I think public recognition of the truth is important in all such cases of violence and oppression and people who were hurt. They need recognition of what happened to them. We talk about it in every other context, and in this context it is doubly true and tenfold true, because what has happened was what has been happening, what is happening is so horrible, and the denial is so extreme that this must change immediately and completely. But let's go back to personal things. Let's go. I still want you to finish the story about your father. How did your father react, and how did he tell you about it?
So my father told me about this, what was going on in this dinner.
Yes, I just want to sum it up. This guy said, he is a Zionist, he does not live in Israel anymore, he lives in France, and he said, we should let Bibi do what Bibi is doing, i.e.
and even make it more.
Yes, i.e. do ethnic cleansing of Palestinians to solve the problem. This is Nazi language, by the way, this is classical Nazi language, and then we should say it was Bibi's fault. We should denounce him and say and say that it was all his fault. We were always against it, but it happened, and now we cannot.
And then to judge him in Hague and
Yeah.
put him in jail, and then he he will sacrifice for us because we need it.
Yeah.
It's the most cynical
Yeah.
approach I ever heard
Yeah.
about this. But it's very revealing because
Yes,
I
it's
think
revealing.
many people think this and wouldn't admit it.
Yes. So what did your father tell you?
And my father told me it in the context that he was against it, that he was arguing, that telling that this is crazy, that it's inhumane, and we cannot like. And he told me like in a way for me to know that he was on the other, that he wasn't agreeing with this.
Yes. Why did he want you to know this?
I think my father deep down inside knows that what's happening is wrong, that it could not be justified, but he feels that like many other Zionists that we have to do this.
Yes.
And nobody truly in their heart want to be in position that they support
This is a good
this.
question, because I think about the people who managed the group terrorists from a different angle and who have lost all semblance of any touch to morality and to, I don't know, but let's say a lot of people do not really in their heart of hearts support what is going on, but they are in a situation where it is like impossible to not support it in their like from their perspective. It is very hard to impossible to not support it.
Yes.
And this is why I believe that, so you know what, this is one of the answers that I gave myself. I've been grappling with this question of how can I love people who I know support and commit horrible actions. And this is a very important question, because so many people do so many horrible things around me, including myself.
Yes.
Including myself. Am I innocent? Do I not buy clothes? Was this not made in fucking China? I don't know where this was made. I did not check. I know that there are sweatshops. I know, and I bought this, and I bought this, and I live in a colonial estate, and so forth and so on. I am not innocent, okay? I am not innocent. And still, we need to be able to keep our love and compassion even for people who we believe are not innocent, even for ourselves. How do we do it? And this is one of the answers that I gave myself through the years. Maybe there are better answers, but this is the best that I got so far, which is to understand that in their heart of hearts, most people just want good. They want good things to happen. They want true peace. They want true cooperation. They want love. They want harmony. And circumstances are the problem, and ideologies are the problem, and mind viruses and cults and all this. It's different names for the same thing. It's mental and spiritual and emotional blockages that exist. And I know this on myself as well. I know that I did some things that are morally questionable. At the very least, morally questionable, if not morally reprehensible. And I know that every single time that I did such a thing, it was because my heart, my mind, or my spirit, or in most cases, all of them, were blocked in some sense. And I know that it is possible to open up this blockage and to become better and to change for the better. This is what I know.
Yes. Maybe that's the subject.
Yes.
How do we maintain love toward ourselves and others?
Yes, even in such horrible circumstances.
Yeah, and I also think like also we need to remember that it's a structural. It's like you said, I buy this shirt. Okay, so you're not gonna buy any clothes. You're not gonna buy any food. Like part of the understanding that that's why we're trying to change society and not just individuals, because I understand that the way the system is built, that it's impossible not to take part in bad stuff.
Yes.
And we don't want to be only, and that's why, and it also helps to remain compassionate, because you understand that everyone are part of something that they didn't create.
Yes.
and the people, also Zionists didn't create Zionism.
Yes.
And also the people who created Zionism tried to find solution to a real problem, which
Yes.
was racism and anti-Semitism in their
Yes,
own
and
countries.
and an actual Holocaust that happened.
An actual Holocaust there happened.
We have to emphasize this.
Yeah,
As critical as we are of Zionism,
yeah.
we do have to acknowledge that there was a real problem. This was a bad solution for this problem.
Bad solution for a real problem.
For a real
that
problem.
still exists.
That still exists.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
But it's actually, the thing is that, you know, sometimes I think, was it a solution, or at what point it became like a cynical, because right now I feel like that the Zionists want anti-Semitism to rise,
Yes.
and they want it to grow, and then I wonder from what point did it turn to be so cynical. I need to explain why before I say it.
Okay,
right?
yes.
Because I think the more there is more anti-Semitism, like without anti-Semitism, there was no reason to bring all the Jewish people here.
Yes.
So they needed to keep going. And actually, yeah. So I don't think.
But again, we need to think in a complex way.
Yeah.
This is the way. Compassion, I think, always comes from seeing the complexities, seeing reality, which is complex, and then compassion is, okay, this is complex.
Yeah.
Okay. So the complexity is that there are different levels of awareness, and Zionism as a movement needs anti-Semitism. Yes, the movement of Zionism and the ideology of those two ideologies, they have a shared interest. Okay, in some sense, and this expresses itself in the mind of all the people who follow these ideologies. Okay, and it goes two ways, right? The anti-Semites love Zionism, and the Zionists love anti-Semites. Usually there is a correlation. This is so mind-boggling, but it is true. Okay, but there are other levels in which things like if you ask a Zionist, do you want anti-Semitism to grow? They will say, no, of course not. I want anti-Semitism to stop.
Yeah.
So there are different levels of awareness, and the problem is, one of the problems, we have gone through many problems now in this conversation, but one of the problems is lack of awareness. Okay, so as usual, we've been talking for a very long time and we didn't even notice the time going by.
And I always feel like there is a point that we're trying to reach and we're like
circling around.
And but it's kind of, maybe it's a spiral, you know? Maybe we're getting closer to, I don't know.
Yeah. We always are getting closer to the truth, and we are and for me, the conversations that we are having on this podcast, they are part of my own process of understanding what is going on, understanding myself, understanding my society, and through these conversations we understand more. And this brings me back to what we started from. Why do we speak about ourselves? Because through this we can understand more about everything. And I feel like this is the most honest, direct, and real conversation that we have had so far. And I feel like the more personal we are, the more vulnerable we are, the more true what comes out is. And again, I think the truth is one of the most important thing now in the world.
Yes, and as long way, and when we go deeper, we see we cannot separate like our personal, and like we say we're going to be personal, but then we talk about like political, like it's not.
Yes, and vice versa. When we say we talk about politics, we start talking about the personal, because it's two sides of the same thing.
Two sides. I have a bit like fear that, I don't know, my cousin will see it, or like this, you know, I'm going trashing my. But like on the other hand, what do I have to hide? I feel like there's nothing to hide anymore.
Yes.
Nothing to hide. Like,
I feel like I'm done hiding, you know?
Yeah.
In some sense, I've been hiding all my life because I was born into this cult, into this system, into this society, where if you want to be an actually moral person, you need to hide in some sense. And I'm done hiding. I do not want
Yeah,
to do it anymore.
and there's many mechanisms like the don't talk to the outside is part of the mechanism of the cat. Like don't talk to the. But why wouldn't I talk to outside or like
Are
if
they not people?
and
What, like
yeah, and who decide about this? The
outside
moment,
and inside?
yeah, the moment you talk like this, it's like cultish.
Yes.
And also, if you believe that there's value to truth, so why do you have to change it when you speak to outside people?
Yes.
I say exactly the same thing to Israelis, and I'm done with like changing the how I speak. Like there's maybe some aesthetics like tone of voice, or
Yeah.
but in the end, like I'm saying the same stuff.
Yeah. You need to be honest with
Yeah,
everyone.
and I don't feel I have a society anymore in the sense that people talk about like my society is the world, it's the and I
Yes.
have an intimate interactions and close and it's yeah I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what is my society anymore, to be honest. If I have one.
I think that I've gone through a long process with this, and the only thing that I can feel comfortable with is saying that my society is Earth.
It's Earth.
And maybe the whole universe. Maybe the whole universe, but really, any separation feels artificial to me. Always. And the more I look at it, the more I see that everything is connected, and that all separations are a lie. And I do not want to lie anymore, and I do not want to believe lies anymore. I want to be committed to truth and honesty.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that you don't have like diversity
Of course.
in cultures, in languages, nations. Like, these things exist, but it depends on you and what you decide to feel that is like if it depends of you and if you use this thing to separate or to enrich to to make it more interesting to
Yes. The best experiences of my life, some of the best experiences of my life are when I was sitting in a table surrounded by people from different cultures, and we all shared our culture and talked about our own personal experiences, and the experience was rich and diverse and complex. This is the best in my mind.
Yeah, to me, like two of the relationships that I had, like girlfriends. One was with Japanese woman, and the other was with Austrian, and these were the two most meaningful romantic relationships that I had. And it's not that the cultural thing doesn't exist, but it made it in a way more interesting.
Yes.
And we're all mixed in our genes, right? From people who come from different places. So
yeah,
I really wish that we will get over this stupid nationalism thing.
So let's end on this positive note. Let us all live together in peace, in harmony, in cooperation. Let's enrich each other. Let's learn from each other. Let's become better through getting to know each other better.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to us. Yeah, for listening.
You made it that far.
Yeah, and thank you for helping us going through this process of growth. And we hope that all our audience can also gain from this and grow.
Yeah, and I want to say that I read all the comments if people write. I don't always have respond, but it really warms the heart, right, to read when people.
Yeah, it's
like I feel it's a discussion, and when people write sometimes people write in length what they think, and I think like, wow, they could sit here and we could talk about this together. So
and maybe in the near future we will do it with many people.
And you're welcome to contact us if you want to.
Yes, please contact us.
We have the Yala podcast that is about interviews, right?
Yes.
People need to know that.
So I do want to say that when you get a certain number of followers, it becomes a 24/7 job to just answer all the messages. So I do try to read everything, and I do learn a lot from people who contact me and write their own experiences. And sometimes I have the time to answer, sometimes I don't have.
I have less followers, so you can contact me.
This is just because I started a little bit sooner, I think. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you everyone for listening to us and staying with us so far. And peace and justice, right?
Yes, peace and justice.